El Clasico, yes and no. It's hard to call a preseason-friendly El Clasico. Is the greatest game in Spain the greatest game in Spain in Las Vegas? Well, I do think that's for you to decide. Certainly the intensity of this match and the starting 11s that were picked from both sides indicate that neither team wanted to lose. And we saw a mix like we usually don't see. There were a lot, and I mean a lot of white shirts in the stands, and Gerard Piqué certainly heard from them. But there was also a chorus of Kool-Aids, something you won't hear at the Santiago Bernabeu when Rafinha put that goal in, the one and only goal of the game. So while it may be the preseason, yeah, that did feel like El Clasico. So let's do it. The 5 headlines from Barcelona's 1-0 preseason win against Real Madrid. 1 has to be Rafinha's golazo. It has to be. It's the one goal. Goals are the things that separate teams at the end of a result. And that was the only thing that could separate these two eternal rivals. And that goal was a beauty. And before I do talk about it, I want to speak a little bit about what led to it, because a lot of credit goes to how Xavi set up his press and those who did a lot of the hard work and didn't get any credit tonight. Pedri in particular got roughed up once and lost the ball, and that is the only thing I saw people talking about. But his pressing tonight was sensational and exactly what Xavi wants from his left interior. That pressure in tandem with Ansu, Busquets, Alba, and Gavi caused Militao to cough the ball up to Rafinha in a perfect spot. And then once Rafinha had it, it was all about that magical left foot. The Brazilian smashed the ball into the top right corner, had a bit of curve on it as well, and Courtois, who we'll get to in a minute, had no chance on the one goal in this game. And that single moment changed the narrative. Up to that point, Rudiger, who I guess Real Madrid may have bought to play left back, and not much the Barca can say, they had their best defender playing right back tonight. But if Rudiger was put on the left side to deal with Rafinha, well, he did that for the first 25 minutes of the game. Until he didn't, because things broke apart because of that Barca press. Not every Rafinha goal is going to be a golazo like that, obviously, but I would guess that about 4 of his goals, I don't know how many, I'm unsure how many exactly he'll have in total, but I would say at least 4 of his goals this season are definitely going to be showstoppers. 2 is Lewandowski's debut. I don't know if it's a sign of good things to come, or maybe just means that Lewandowski was playing in his first El Clasico, but the first time he touched the ball, he fouled Camavinga. The man from Bayern Munich looked like he was playing himself into shape and looked like he was playing in his first preseason game of the year, in which he was, very much like Real Madrid on the other side. But I will say he still attracted the gravity that you'd expect from Lewandowski. Camavinga and Tchouaméni in the double pivot would drop in, and Militao and Alaba would collapse to basically keep him in this box, while farther forward they pulled in Rodrigo to mark Pedri and tried to keep Valverde on Busquets, usually leaving Gavi free for that diagonal ball on the ground that Gavi would often keep on moving out to Rafinha on the right, which did help me take notice to what I think Lewandowski will bring this team other than the obvious goals, and that is balance that we didn't see last season. Both Memphis and Aubameyang and even Ansu like to pick up that ball from the left wing. This is when they're playing in the middle, They like to pick it up on the left wing and then cut in pretty early on. But Lewandowski, as the number 9, is basically central the whole time. Yeah, he switched with Ansu, but that's only because Ansu had made that run into the half space and Lewandowski was covering for him defensively, or at least trying to. And the big picture here is that Barcelona won't have to rely so much on having such a numerical advantage on the left side. Yes, Alba overlapping and getting Ansu Fati into the box is certainly always a good recipe for success. But Barcelona was able to kind of balance out their attacks between the left side and the right side. Something that's obviously going to be really important to in a match when one team has, say, a fantastic right back or has a really good right center back pairing with a right back and they're able to shut things down on the left side. Now you have that balance. Now you have just a complete other option, another half of the field where you can bring attacking forays. And as I said, balance is the key to this new Barcelona attack. 3 is really a friendly. Yeah, this one got heated in, I guess, all the best ways. One of those moments, especially the one that's going to stand out for me, was when Pedri, for once, maybe in his Barca career, took too much of the ball, was trying to get it in transition, had it knocked away, and then Gavi was late with a tackle, Busquets was late with a tackle, and I got a little worried, because I was like, oh, Barcelona, obviously they're going to be caught in the counter, and it was Alba who gets the yellow by sliding in and taking the professional foul. But at that point, things really escalated. We saw Busquets against Vini Jr., we saw Rudiger and Araujo, something that I don't want any part of that. The ref was stuck between two minds in this game. It was a friendly, but these players were going to kill each other, and he had to figure out who he gives yellows to, when does he blow the whistle, when does he try to calm things down, when does he reprimand players who are taking too long on throw-ins, and goal kicks, and corner kicks, and bickering, and all the little stuff in between. And if you thought this friendly was going to go down a level in the second half, as it usually does, when you see those full-sale substitutes, because it does take the players on the field a bit time to, we'll say, catch the fire and catch the heat of a game. But no, the usual suspects, Casemiro and Cruz and PK, they were ready to go with this intensity from the moment they stepped on the field. So this friendly did not in any way get any more friendly in the second half. And you could tell that there were those little moments throughout this game when Araujo, who was dealing with Vini Jr., did make that foray forward, got that marauding run, as I had said before, against Rudiger, and took advantage of him, blew past him, and made that highlight, made the whole crowd ooh and ah. I think something was said there because it got a little bit tense after that as well. But hey, I love to see the highlights, and I love to see this intensity from this Barcelona team, who, having not won the Liga in a few seasons, definitely have something to prove against a team that won the Liga and won the Champions League. 4 is another message to De Jong. If he didn't get the message against Inter Miami that he's somewhere on the center back depth chart and not even at the top of the depth chart for center back, then Frenkie de Jong certainly got the message here. In the midfield, Pedri and Busquets are written in pen, Gavi and Kessié are fighting for that other interior spot, and Nico, at least through 3 friendlies, has to me very much earned the backup spot to Busquets. He made just one mistake tonight, and he was tremendous otherwise, including getting the ball back on a really good tackle inside Barcelona's penalty box. He also got fouled on the same play, but that was because he gave the ball up and got it right back. Again, that was the only mistake, or the only wrong foot I saw from Nico tonight. Because while Jules Koundé and his maybe impending transfer and all that stuff does loom over this game, and certainly the back line for Barcelona, you definitely get the sense that whether Xavi's switching to a 3 at the back or not, Eric Garcia is going to be on that field, I think more than most Kool-Aids are willing to admit. And the minute that Koundé shows up, because of his ball-playing abilities, he's certainly, because of what he can do defensively, and again, because he can do, 90% of what Eric Garcia can do with the ball, then he's going to overtake him on the depth chart too. And Araujo, being the defender that he was, I'm interested to see if he wasn't put on the right side because of Vini Jr. tonight, like he was in El Clasico in the spring, or is he actually going to be playing more right back than we think because Koundé is going to slot in? It's hard to know who the left center back is going to be. And if you're Frenkie de Jong, you want to fight for that spot. But it was telling to me that to start that second half before Garcia came out for PK, that it was Garcia to start on the left side and Frenkie de Jong started on the right. For all the worry that Barca don't have this other elite center back next to Araujo, I'm not that worried about it, honestly. Getting a clean sheet against Real Madrid in the preseason, it doesn't get rid of all the fears we have of what Barcelona's back line did last season. Because that back line of Barcelona gives up the same number of goals this year, and really the big difference is just Christensen. But if the difference was Christensen and Frenkie de Jong, which again I don't think it will be because Frenkie de Jong at this point, a message must have been received. But yeah, if it's de Jong and Christensen added to that back line, does it make you that much better defensively? No, not really, but you're able to rotate. And I want to remind people that you got 26 games out of Clement Lenglet last season. You had to see Oscar Mingueza back there against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League. With Karim Benzema not in this game on the other side, we didn't see Eric Garcia or Christensen get undressed, certainly not with Eden Hazard as their false 9. But it's a reminder that not everybody's going to be available for the other teams either. And that Lewandowski now is up front for Barcelona. How many strikers in world football are truly going to be able to embarrass Barcelona's backline this season if it's as deep as it is? I mean, yeah, I wish I could stack them all on top of each other and have just this amalgamation of a person playing next to Araujo with all the skills of all the other defenders and center backs. But that's not the case. And if Koundé arrives, well, then we've got an entirely different conversation on our hands. So yeah, let's put a pin in that. And I don't really truly know what's going to happen with de Jong here moving forward. And 5 is Courtois the best keeper in the world? I'm not really trolling with this. I think he is probably the best keeper in the world right now. He's a big reason why Real Madrid won La Liga by as many points as they did last season, and he was still as phenomenal tonight. But let's flip the switch on this and say that Courtois had to be that good, or Real Madrid would have lost 4-0 just like they did before. Or, yeah, maybe they could have got a goal because they did hit the crossbar, that being Valverde in the first half. But other than that, one attempt at goal, Real Madrid weren't that close to scoring in a way that Barcelona were very close to scoring multiple times, if not for the Belgian goalkeeper. Lewandowski forced a save, Camavinga almost made a devastating mistake, but Ansu missed from close range, Memphis had a chance, Kessié had a chance, Dest with that late laser. And yet, Courtois just stood on his head, so good on Real Madrid for having the goalkeeper that they do. But again, credit to Barcelona's attack, because if they do this against a goalkeeper that's not Courtois, they're putting more than one home tonight. And while you wonder what Madrid would have been like without Courtois, you also have to wonder if we should call it Vardrid or Varalona, and I actually had to laugh at that point because both fan bases on social media you could see are both constantly saying the other team, no mom, he got the advantage. He's the one who kicked me first, and certainly that's Real Madrid and Barcelona. But in this one, yeah, I'm a bit biased here, but Real Madrid certainly would have been a lot more trouble if VAR was involved in this match, at least in this match in particular. 100% a yellow for Ceballos, 50% yellow, 50% red for Casemiro on Memphis, and 100% a penalty for Odriozola's handball in the box on the Balde cross. 100% a handball. Yeah, so this one could have ended much worse for Real Madrid if VAR was involved. And it does bring me to the final point here about Balde. It's not a headline, I'm just throwing it in here at the end because I mentioned him, but Alejandro Balde could be pushing Alba, not necessarily for minutes, but I think this board and Xavi can look at this match, and the board so far has listened to Xavi in so many ways in this offseason, probably spending way too much money because they're believing in Xavi and believing in success and believing that he can win them trophies if they get him the right players. So I think Xavi might look at this match and say, I don't think we want Marcos Alonso. Is he a better player than Balde? Is he more experienced? Does he cross the ball better? All of those things, yes, a resounding yes to Marcos Alonso. A 31-year-old who is going to be coming into a new place in a backup role that he might not be comfortable with. Balde, meanwhile, knows that he's either going to be the starter for Barcelona Athletic. Yeah, he might go out on loan if Jorge Mendes pushes hard enough, but he could also just be the backup left back and get some minutes. Because Jordi Alba was arguably the worst player for Barcelona in this game, which again is a compliment to most of Barcelona. Dominic Blaugrana had a solid night tonight, so to say that Alba was the worst player, it's not that insulting to Jordi Alba this time around. But I thought Balde was good enough to start to, not to take over the starting spot, but to ask questions of how many minutes he deserves in the first team. So just a 1-0 in a game that, as I said, could have been 4-0 again like it was in the spring, but hey, a win over Real Madrid, preseason or not, is a win over Real Madrid. And, as I mentioned before, keeping a clean sheet against Real Madrid, even in a preseason, that is a feather in Xavi's cap. It means, and he tells me, that he got his tactics right tonight, and that includes starting your best defender at right back. Because it seems like Ancelotti started arguably his best new defender, Rudiger, on the left side, and it didn't work out so well for Real Madrid. I think Xavi managed the hell out of this game, and he managed it like he wanted to win it. But there also was a balance between wanting to win it, keeping that intensity up, and some experimentation, because I'm not entirely sure and convinced on the rotations or who we'll see necessarily where. Sergio Roberto has played right back and center midfield already in this preseason. And since I've mentioned Sergio Roberto, well, you know what time it is. That means it's time to wrap this one up. Still some preseason friendlies left to go. We still have to talk about this one as well on a deep dive on the podcast. So make sure you follow us here on the feed, on social media, wherever you find any of your content, we're there. And as always, until next time, Força Barça.